Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Welcome to Between the Lines. I'm Abeera Bukhari, and once again, I have with me Ali Heather.
Assalamu everyone. Today we're discussing the existential one act play by Jean-Paul Sartre, No Exit. This play has a very minimal setting with a lot of symbolism inside of it. It's a very brief setting. Like there is not much for imagery for you to imagine yourself, which is a pretty amazing thing that how much subjectivity it has in it. It's phenomenal work by Sartre. If you haven't read it before, you need to read it.
So we have minimal settings, minimal props. It's just one room, and we see a character coming in with the valet, right? Garson.
He enters, he looks into it, and he sees a very dull setting with the sofa, with only wearing a coat himself. He's a very pacific journalist, and he's sitting right there and imagine himself. Not does just imagine, he actually lived that he has lived a past life, and now he's in hell. But he's very nervous.
Ali, when he walks in, he's asking the valet, are there other rooms? And it's like he has walked into a hotel, not into some hell or, something of the sort. And then he's so casual about things. Okay, there's 3 sofas and there's this statue and, it's a second empire thing. Or he looks at the setting as if, he needs to know everything about it.
To be very honest with you, it was my first impression as well as a reader that if he's entering in hell, how come there's no fire? No, how come there's no flame which will burn him? How come it's a very dull setting? Only to realize that Sartre will make sure that this is hell for him. And it was really good, to be very honest, how he makes sure that human nature could create a hell for you. How could someone else could be a hell for you? Like without even doing something, they'll make sure that you feel like it's a hell that you're staying in.
And he actually observes that the valet doesn't blink. So basically, he is in a place where there's no sleep. And I think not being able to sleep in itself poses a lot of pressure on a person or a trauma in a way, since being awake all the time or hyper awareness in itself is paining, isn't it? And then there's this bell that he asks of, and the valet leaves, and he isn't sure if somebody else would come in or not. And then we see another character coming in, Ines, right? And she comes in only to find out that, okay, there's another person there, right? And then later on, we have a third character, Estelle. And the conversation between Ines and Garson is such that she doesn't like the expressions that Garson has, right? And she cannot even tolerate him there. His mere presence is such that she wants him off right there and then. And when Estelle comes, she realizes that, oh, there's a man who's hiding his face. And she thinks or she mistakes him for somebody else. And she's like, oh, you're here? Oh, I thought he was somebody else. And then 3 of them, there's this triangle that's formed. And we see desire roaming from one person to the other. And it's a closed-ended thing in a way. We just see a circular motion of, the conversation is such that they're bound within a room and there's no exit. How about the title? How significant is it?
It's very significant. Like, assuming all 3 characters in a room, let's just imagine it ourselves that we're sitting here. It's a hell and there is no exit. No way you're leaving this. You have to bear with it. You are part of it and you will suffer with it.
Ali, do you think that the realization makes us suffer more than when we are unaware? I think, okay, let's suppose the room that we are in is hell. But since we are discussing things, we do not talk about hell, about any torture cells or anything of the sort. We can still tolerate being here for as long as possible, right? But the moment we're told, okay, this is hell, we are here, and we can't step out, or there's no going out or no going back. it would then be a torturous thing. Wouldn't that awareness hit us?
I totally agree with you that this realization makes us suffer. Maybe if we were unaware of it, we wouldn't suffer. We would be very happy, like, okay, so this is a very dull setting, and we're part of it. But the very moment we realize this is hell, we panic, we shiver, and we go like, now we need to leave this place. We need to run out of it ASAP. That definitely makes sense that our conscious makes us realize things which actually make us suffer. The similar goes for our affection and empathy for someone who is helpless, definitely. If we were unaware that they're helpless, maybe we would have been very happy with our sleeping conscious. But no, once you realize that, now you will suffer. You're part of it, and you are somewhat guilty of it as well, for your silence is complicit right there.
So, how about the choices and the consequences? I mean, they are in hell for certain reasons, right? And what is their sin?
Every one of them is a sinner, that's for sure. If we look into Garcin, he's a coward who committed a war crime. If we look into Ennis, he killed a lover. Then she killed himself as well. If we look into Estelle, a young beautiful woman who's guilty of killing her own child, aborting her own child. So each one of them is sinner right there, and they will judge other sinners. Sinners judging sinners for sinning differently. So that's how it is. If we begin with Garcin, he was like, Ennis knows that I am a coward. And if she shares that with Estelle, she'll think that I'm a coward as well.
Don't you think that they so want the other person to not expose them? They're like, this person shouldn't know why I'm in hell, because their definition of me matters.
This is the silver lining of No Exit, to be honest, that how it makes you realize that you are not independent of what others think of you. They definitely influence your own identity. Your public identity is basically dependent of what others thinks of you. If we take a very simple example of Estelle, Estelle is a very simple character, yet what she portrays is phenomena. Like, she is beautiful, but she's only beautiful if Ennis compliments her that you are beautiful. Otherwise, if no one compliments her, if there is no one looking at her, if there is no one perceiving her, she panics.
So why wants validation all the time?
Absolutely.
The looked atness helps her define herself.
Definitely.
So basically, identity then is performative, right? It's a performance that you set up, right? And then there's ego, and then there's persona, right? And you are not yourself then. Your truth is defined by the definition that others form of you, right? And then you go on seeking validation to prove that you exist. So this the entire play, No Exit, makes me feel that it is more like social media, whereby people post, and on the basis of the number of likes and comments, your social positioning is, decided.
Absolutely. It compares you with others.
Yeah.
It creates a competition which defines you. Am I better than this person? Is this person better than me? How can I try to be better than him? Can I pull his leg in some way that it makes me
so at surface level that you end up thinking, Ali, I don't post much. I don't post myself, right? And I'm such a private person that I enjoy not letting people know what I'm up to, right? And one day I sat down to actually think that I do not post. I'm not on LinkedIn. And if I don't post, if people do not see me, if people do not know my presence online, do I really exist or not? I mean, in few years, if you don't exist online, you're nowhere.
No.
But we had professors and teachers, well-read people, knowledgeable people, who we fail to find them online, right? But they are there. those who know them, right? So such has been my approach towards life. But then again, I think that being present and social media is such a thing that if you're there, you exist. If you're not there, you do not exist, or you cease to exist.
It creates a digital life for us. Do you have a digital life? If you do not post, do not social media, it means you're digitally dead. You are a dead person in your digital life. It's like your coherent second existence, which exists in this virtual world for you. And if you're not there, it's basically you've never born there and you cease to exist right there. So this is phenomenal. Like in the play, Estelle properly gives attention why there are so much mirrors in her room. Whenever there's no person looking at her, she looks into her that, yes, this is Estelle and this exists beautifully. But there is one moment when she is among people. She is sitting in a proper setting where there is a lot of people moving on in their own life. She tends to realize nobody is looking at me, even though people are here. She doesn't have a mirror with her, so she cannot see even herself. This alienation of herself was very hurtful to her. She was very disappointed, like, do I exist anymore? To back it up, she picks up glass from her own purse and looks into it to see a reflection of her, and she realizes that she does exist. This was very tempting. It was like a realization for my own self that how dependent I am on the opinions, on the compliments, on the feedback of other people who exist around me, how important they are for me. So that definitely is true. That if we want to live digitally, we have to have the social media for all of us.
Let's talk entirely about the concept of the other, right? There's self and then there's the other. So for initially it's just you, right? And the moment the other person walks in, the other person, right? So there's a sort of otherization. Their idea of us, their perception of us, irrespective of who they are, changes us, right? In any way. We change the way we talk, we change the way we sit. And I think it has a lot to do with how society has formed us. That we are just, there's a kind of...
It's a large picture of puzzle, and everyone is a tiny part of it, fitting themselves somewhere in it, and trying to create a big coherent picture with proper harmony. Yeah, that definitely makes sense.
And that room is self-policing, isn't it? Where, they know they're being watched, so they need to have an image of themselves.
Yes.
Like Garson wants them to think that he wasn't a coward.
He was a brave person, he was a pacifist.
Yeah. And Estelle wants both of them, Ines and Garson, to believe that she is important and she is beautiful.
Absolutely.
Right? And Ines, on the other hand, I think Ines is the only character who believes that, okay, she's there in hell and she's there because of a reason. They've all sinned, they are criminals, and she's the only realist there. She succumbs to everything that has come her way.
Yeah,
and she wants them to believe कि हाँ अब ये हो गया. You guys just believe this now.
Bilkul.
And stop, cheating yourselves and stop being in bad faith.
Absolutely. She was actually trying to make sure that they feel responsible for what they did. Like each of them was trying to make sure that they look virtuous in front of what sin they did, what past they have. Garson was coming up with every single logic to ensure that NS just validates that, okay, whatever you're saying makes sense and you're not a coward. What you did was rational. What you did was not cowardice. But all this time, he couldn't do that. Whatever logic he comes up with, NS has something tough, something harsh for him to face. And he was like, this woman is making it hell. If only Estelle and NS provides me the validation, the judgment which I am seeking to look better, to look virtuous, to being not seen as a sinner, this place would be heaven for me.
And Ali, when we find them exposing one another, What do we find? We find Estelle running for the door, right? And then we find at the end of the play, we find Garson wanting to escape. But when the door opens, he decides no, he cannot be. At one point, he's like, okay, मुझे जो सजा देनी है दे दो, फलां चीज दे दो, फलां कर दो, मेरे साथ ये कर दो, इस सेल से निकालो मुझे. But the moment the door opens, he's like, अच्छा, उस टॉर्चर से ये बेटर है या इससे वो बेटर है. He cannot really decide. And same is for Ines and Estelle, right? Even they do not leave, and then they're like, okay, I'm not leaving because of you. I'm here because we need to stay together. They are kind of bound to be together.
When we read the intro of this play, it's very clearly stated that the famous quote is "Hell is other people." So when I reach at the point where Garson decides to leave, I was like, wait, what? There won't be any hell if he leaves. This was my initial impression. This was what I was expecting it to happen. The very moment he reached for the door, he opens the knob, the door opens. I was like, where is this going on? Will he leave? If he leaves, what about the play? Where is the hell? He opens it up. And the whole thing that goes into his mind was, if I leave, and if there are no other humans out there, what kind of a life would I have? Wouldn't that be the real hell? To come up, to back up this particular thing and not to make himself humiliated in front of Ennis, which he was very afraid of, he comes up with a logic like, no, I'm not leaving you guys with my thoughts. I'm not leaving you guys discussing me. I'll be sitting here and I'll be defending myself.
Because, Ali, when identity breaks and when we minus ourselves from the others, it is the self that begins to torture us. If our conscience hasn't been clear.
If we don't have absolute clarity about what we're about to do, we tend to point out things onto ourselves. We start to make ourselves self-responsible.
And it is said of sin that it doesn't leave you. It stays there.
Yes.
So the biggest price that one pays after sinning is such that your own mind begins eating you. It's there and you want to get away from life for a while. But you cannot break free from the shackles of mind. There's this chain that you get into yourself when you commit something. And I think putting the blame on the other is just an excuse then, isn't it?
It's kind of a scapegoat. Like we're looking for this particular scapegoat to blame so that we don't take blame ourselves. Like Sartre has tried to make a point here that whenever you make a choice, there is a responsibility. Every choice bears consequence. So you must take it yourself. You cannot go around pointing it. I'm blaming you this time. I'm blaming you this time. I'm blaming you this time. This is not the way you do. This is not the way you deal with freedom. When you choose a step and you are responsible for it, you have to take the responsibility for every consequences that will come your way. So this is what he was pointing out. Like, dude, when you were in a war, you did some cowardice stuff. You are responsible for it, and you cannot pretend or come up with any logic to make sure that other validate like you are a brave person and you did the right thing. This isn't happening at all. Same goes for Estelle. When you try to pretend, like when you try to own it that you're beautiful, there will be some feedback. There will be some jealous people who will say that you are ugly. So you have to come up with something which is truly your own, which is truly your own identity. And you cannot deny it at all costs. Otherwise, your conscious will never let you sleep, will never let you pretend that. It will break that illusion that you're living in.
And Ali Carson is more concerned about what's going on the earth, right? And he keeps on looking at his colleague who talks about him in a certain way. And he's like, oh, ye mere baare mein aise baat kar raha hai. He isn't really worried about his own wife, who he cheated on, and who's sad, but he cares about the opinion of people who weren't really related to him, right? And this is true of us as well. In trying to live with the opinions of others, we forget the essence that we live by, right? And we give more heed to what others think about us, right? And when we started this very podcast, we didn't discuss the impact this is going to leave on people. How many followers are we going to attract? We just wanted to sit down and discuss literature at length. That's it. And I think wanting validation and then wanting people to say, wow, aiste to bahut acha kiya, that's one thing. And coming up with something of quality or with something that you think is important puts you in a position where you don't want validation at all. And I think that's where peace creeps in. Because when you want validation, you act as a different person. Because then identity is a performance.
Yeah, definitely. When we talk about authenticity of ourselves or whatever initiative we're starting is always independent of what feedback we will receive, what validation will people who will watch us will speak about us, what feedback will we receive. If we're trying to do quality work, we do not care what other people will say. But the very moment we want to demand validation from the audience, then we appeal to the audience. We appeal to everybody watching us right now, and then we have to sell something which they would enjoy, which they will validate. Then it's not about what you wanted to do, but what you wanted to show them and what you wanted to sell to them. So that is why that definitely makes sense that we have to have our own authentic self, which is absolutely independent of any other judgment from anywhere.
But how do we form a self that is undisturbed by the forces around us? Since, in our circle, I'm the only one who doesn't have a presence online, right? And I think that many people fail to put you in a certain light there. They're like, okay, she looks good, she does this, she does that. Oh, she has a lot of activities to put up. Why isn't she posting? I know people who told me, हाँ you keep going out, पोस्ट क्यों नहीं करती हो, टैग करो, बहुत फॉलोअर्स हो जाएंगे. भैया आई डोंट वांट दैट. लेकिन आजकल के दौर में, आजकल के बच्चों में ये चीज आप कैसे दें कि यार तुम काफी हो अपने लिए. जरूरी नहीं है 4 लोग क्लैप करेंगे तुम्हारे लिए, कहेंगे तुम अच्छा कर रहे हो तो तुम अच्छा कर रहे हो.
ये जो ग्लोबल विलेज है सोशल मीडिया का, इसने कंपैरिजन ऐसा बढ़ा दिया है कि मैं रावलपिंडी में बैठ के न्यूयॉर्क के किसी 22-year-old को देख सकता हूँ और मैं फौरन कह दूंगा आई हैव टू बीट हिम, आई हैव टू वर्क हार्ड टू बीट हिम. जिसकी वजह से मेरे अंदर कभी ये थॉट ही नहीं आता कि अली, एम आई इनफ, एम आई सफिशिएंट विद एवरीथिंग आई हैव. ये बहुत बड़ा मसला है.
लेकिन मेजॉरिटी ऑफ द कंटेंट दैट्स बीइंग क्रिएटेड, क्या है वो, क्या है, मतलब उससे तो बंदा को ऐसे ही लगता है कि यार अच्छा है कि नहीं, जिस पाथ पे सारे चल रहे हैं मैंने नहीं चलना मुझे.
ये चीज
तो वो वाली चीज है ना, एक
बिल्कुल
लीव द ट्रॉडन पाथ्स.
बिल्कुल वो बहुत मशहूर मीम है जिसमें 2 रास्ते बने होते हैं और बहुत सारे लोग एक तरफ जा रहे होते हैं और एक बंदा दूसरी तरफ जा रहा होता है. तो यू हैव टू बी अलोन इन दिस पाथ, अदरवाइज टू बी
एलिनेशन और ट्रॉमा ऑफ एलिनेशन भी तो आता है.
बिल्कुल आता है, बिल्कुल आता है. लेकिन एट द सेम टाइम अगर आपने ऑथेंटिक होना है और आप बिल्कुल इंडिपेंडेंट होना चाहते हैं वैलिडेशन से, देन यू हैव टू बियर विद दैट. यू हैव टू ड्रिंक दिस पॉइजन बिकॉज दिस इज द पॉइजन यू चूज योरसेल्फ. हमने ये चीज चूज करनी है, हमने इस चीज को पीना है. हम बिल्कुल ऐसे हो जाएंगे जैसे सुकरात है, जैसे सोक्रेटिस था. ही वाज वेरी डिफरेंट फ्रॉम द पीपल ही लिव विद. एंड देन व्हाट हैपेंड, ही चोज दैट पाथ. यानी कि ये बात कहते हैं कि अगर सुकरात जहर ना पीता, सुकरात मर जाता. लेकिन सुकरात आज भी जिंदा है, लेकिन जिस लोगों ने उनको जहर दिया, दे आर नॉट देयर एनीमोर. डू वी स्पीक ऑफ देम? दे आर द रियल cowards who don't change themselves, who don't adapt themselves. So that is one thing. एक और चीज मैं इसमें ऐड करना चाहता हूँ. जब आपने शुरू में जिक्र किया ट्रायंगल का, कि हमारे पास एक ट्रायंगल बनी हुई है जिसमें किसी ना किसी तरीके से 2 की टीम हो जाती है और वो तीसरे को वैलिडेट नहीं करते. 2 की टीम टॉर्चरर्स हो गए और तीसरा विक्टिम हो गया. और ये चीज पॉइंट टाइम टू टाइम चेंज हो रही है कि कैसे गार्सन और एनएस इकट्ठे हो जाते हैं, कैसे एस्टल और एनएस इकट्ठे हो जाते हैं और कैसे गार्सन. और यही चीज एग्जैक्टली सोशल मीडिया ने हमारे लिए क्रिएट कर दिया कि कभी हम खोलते हैं रील्स का सेक्शन तो एल्गोरिथम हमें ऐसे साथ दे रहा होता है हमारा कि हम इतने मोटिवेटेड होते हैं दैट वी वांट टू लिव द बेस्ट ऑफ आवर लाइफ, वी वांट टू बी एट द पीक ऑफ इट एंड वी वांट टू पुट एवरी सिंगल मिनट ऑफ आवर लाइफ इनटू मेकिंग इट बेटर एंड बेटर. लेकिन समटाइम्स इट गिव अस स्टफ व्हिच एक्चुअली शेक्स अस इनसाइड आउट कि भैया आपने किया क्या पूरी जिंदगी, अब 22 सालों की जो आप जिंदगी गुजार रहे हैं उसमें आप कर क्या रहे हैं. सो दैट्स अ थिंग कि इसी तरह का कंपैरिजन हम किस में होता है, सोशल मीडिया प्लेटफॉर्म. यहाँ पे मैं खड़ा हूँ और यहाँ पे हर वो 22 साल का बंदा खड़ा है जो मेरे अगेंस्ट है. आई डोंट नो कब इस एल्गोरिथम का दिल करेगा, इस सोशल मीडिया का दिल करेगा वो मेरे साथ हो जाएगा और मुझे खुश रखेगा, कब इसका दिल करेगा ये मुझे कोई ऐसी चीज दिखा देगा कि मैं पूरा दिन मेरा जाया जाएगा, मेरा पूरा मूड खराब जाया जाएगा. तो इट इज रेलिवेंट टुडे. आई थिंक नो एग्जिट इज टाइमलेस. It is a timeless thing. It would always be there. There would be someone torching another. There would be someone who would be trying to pretend that he didn't do any sins, and there is no one who knows about his sins. They will try to.
Which one is your favorite quotation?
Quotations में अगर बात करें तो it goes without saying. Garson scene 5.
Oh, you can open that exit.
There is no need for red hot pokers. Hell is other people. Looking at both Anis and Estelle. So this was best. This was absolute best.
Okay, that's my favorite one.
Okay, go with it.
It's like, one always dies too soon or too late. And yet, one's whole life is complete at that moment. With the line drawn neatly under it, ready for summing up. You are your life and nothing else. So I love this idea, the whole idea that we are what we choose to be. And the entire act of being is that of becoming. In his text, Being in Nothingness, Sartre writes about how identity stays fluid. It is like a continuous process of becoming and being. And we choose to decide how we're going to form the definition that we have of us, irrespective of what the other thinks of us. So there's this idea of being in itself and being for itself. So when you're there, and when there's no bad faith, and when you choose to form peace with your definition of yourself, it is then that you stop finding validation elsewhere. So I think for us to understand that a place that has no pets, no mirrors, no exit, and people who are there, who are judging you, you're being looked at, you're being watched, you're being formed an opinion about, that very room becomes your own hell. And even if you put others out, your inner becomes a hell if you've done something against your conscience. You getting it?
Yeah.
So figuratively speaking, we are all in some sort of rooms that have no exit. But conversations like these bring a little crack. Thank you.